internet, it's Jessica and welcome to this talking video. So I wanted to actually discuss the ending or the overall game of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth now that I just finished the Let's Play on my channel. So I have been sitting on this video for a while because I kind of wanted the ending to kind of seep in first and kind of like think about it before I kind of jump to conclusions and say what I'm going to say. So this video is not going to be really structured, it's just me talking and how I feel about the ending, because a lot of you have been asking about how I felt about it since I didn't really talk about it when I ended my Let's Play. I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel. So this is your spoiler warning. If you have not played Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, please don't watch this video, or you can check out my Let's Play if you want to before watching it, because I will talk about pretty much everything and especially the ending. Today's video is sponsored by WeMod. Do you ever wish you could just press a button and transform your game to magically make it its own? From making yourself invincible to turning on the infinite money switch, or even teleporting? Well, WeMod makes it so you can modify your single player experience easily and safely. WeMod is the #1 app for PC game modding, and it's free. Whether you're just trying to have fun, skip certain bosses, or just to enhance your overall gaming experience, WeMod is here to help. WeMod supports over 3,000 plus games, and it's very simple to use with the WeMod overlays or even on the mobile app. Here's how it works. WeMod auto-detects your games and streamlines it with one-click modding while keeping you up to date with the latest games. This is WeMod, and I wanted to show you guys an example of what you can expect when you start it up. It already detected all the games that I have on my Steam library. Let's say Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. As you can see, these are all the mods that I can enable during my game. So if I want to say I want to have infinite HP, that will help. Infinite MP, that will also help. And also infinite dragon resources, because who wouldn't want that when Kiryu is like busting down doors and stuff. It's very simple to do. All you got to do in 2 steps is play the game, launch it, and enable your mods that you want to use. They attacked, and look at that, there was no damage whatsoever. WeMod also offers WeMod Pro. It is a premium service for WeMod where you get certain features on your account, such as the WeMod Remote, a mobile application that allows you to interact with WeMod without pausing your game or using hotkeys. The in-game overlay, which allows you to quickly enable mods without leaving the game. Save mods. When your mods are configured and save mods is applied, you can pick up right where you left off next time for faster gameplay. Boost games in the queue to influence priority. Suggest mods from our most popular games. Exclusive themes to change the look of your app. Access to pro-only section in the Discord. An exclusive badge in the WeMod community. And priority support. So what are you waiting for? Check out my link in the description to download WeMod now for free and start your own gaming adventures. Thank you to WeMod for sponsoring this video. Alright, so when I ended the game, I kind of felt like it was disappointing. And what I mean by that, I kind of felt like it was unsatisfying to, at least to an extent, for Kiryu's storyline. There are a lot of good things about Infinite Wealth. I had so much fun playing it. I mean, a lot of people did. You can tell, especially in the first half of the game, I felt like the writing was really well done. The gameplay was great. All the side missions you could do if you wanted to. It felt like the Yakuza game, Like a Dragon game. And Ichiban still carries the story, and I really love him as a protagonist, so I was really happy that he's there. And then also adding Kiryu on top of that, considering he is the original protagonist, but having him mesh well with Ichiban, working together, working out together. And I guess I wasn't really bothered the fact that he was in a turn-based game too, because already I was used to playing it in Yakuza 7, so I was totally fine with it. I felt like everything felt good, and the whole premise of the story starting where Ichiban is going to Hawaii because he's going to go find his mother, I thought that was a good storyline, since they kind of like hinted at his parentage in the last game. You know, his father and mother, they didn't really discuss the mother a lot, so I think that was a good starting point for this game. So once we got into the later chapters, I want to say once Kiryu and Ichiban separated, Ichiban going back to Hawaii and Kiryu staying in Japan and splitting up the party, I feel like that's kind of where the game started losing me in terms of the story. Having the whole cult thing with Bryce, I don't think I really like that either, because I feel like a lot of it was unanswered. And what I mean by that is there are still questions that I have about Bryce. For example, everyone kept talking about his age. No one really, you know, said why he's like that. I'm just assuming they're implying because of all the radioactive waste that he's been harboring on the island. That's just what I'm assuming, but I feel like they didn't really explain that well, so it kind of felt odd to me. I get the sentiment of Bryce being the villain for Ichiban because it makes sense, because Ichiban is a symbol of good and he's a symbol of someone who's a hero. So to have someone who's the complete opposite, yes, it does make sense, and I get that. It's just I really wish it was written better for Bryce. I just felt like he's just this annoying old white dude that we have to fight. And then another thing that bothered me was introducing Jungi and Zhao and also Songhee so late into the game. And a lot of you guys were telling me too that the reason why they were put in there last is because originally they weren't going to be in there, but then RGG realized like how popular they were. A lot of people really wanted them in the next game, so that's why they put them there kind of last minute. So it felt a little bit odd, and I guess also it bothered me the fact that I was struggling on Ichiban's side because I couldn't level up everybody in time. Mind you, I'm pregnant, so like I don't have time to like just sit around and play video games all the time. Considering the fact that they were introduced so late, it kind of disrupts like the balance of like how you're gonna level up your characters, because in 7, like, you know, I had time to do that. Example, when I was gonna fight Saejima and Majima, that for that boss fight I grinded so much to make sure that my entire party was ready for that boss fight, and everybody was pretty much on par on the same level. It's kind of hard to do that with the other characters in this game because they came so late into the party. I think also what bothered me on Ichiban's side of the story too is just how it started off with like being a wholesome thing where he wants to meet his mom, and then there's no payoff in the end for it. And I get that he even said you know, he doesn't really see her as his mother because he already had his own parents growing up, and it's more like his boss's lover and he just wants to honor his boss instead, which again I get. And I know some people have said that, you know, they're adopted and they don't really have interest in, you know, knowing their birth parents, and I think that's fine too. You know, I think that's completely fine. But I feel like they put so much emphasis in the beginning of the game where Joe was like, "This is your mother. This is what she looks like. Here's the letter. This is what happened to her. I went to go see her." Like that whole build up, I feel like it was kind of for nothing, because it just kind of just feels like nothing really came out of it. They had a really sweet moment, you know, before the party split up and everything in the later chapters, but I just feel like that storyline was kind of wasted, because I feel like there could have been more character development on Ichiban's part, because I even mentioned this in my Let's Play that I think where Ichiban's kindness comes from, it comes from his mother, where she was taking care of Lonnie the entire time, and I feel like that's where you know, Ichiban gets his bravery and his kindness from. Switching over to Kiryu's side, I was skeptical about Kiryu being in this game. I think it's mainly because I've already accepted the fact that he's no longer the protagonist. When Yakuza 6, you know, what happens to him at the end. I know a lot of people don't like the ending, but for me personally, I liked it. And I would have been completely fine if we never saw him again. As much as I love him, like, you guys know how much I love Kiryu, but like, as the way that it was set up, I always thought like, oh, we're never gonna see him again. And then when he showed up in 7, I was like, oh, it's a good cameo. And then they made Gaiden, and then they also put him in this game as the second protagonist. I guess in a sense, for me, initially, when I finished the game, I guess that's why I kind of felt like so hollow afterwards, is because I've already said goodbye to his character. And I felt disappointed because it just feels like he doesn't get the ending that I thought he was gonna get. And I think a lot of us thought he was gonna get like closure for himself, because it just kind of feels open-ended still, which I'm getting ahead of myself, so we'll come back to that. So Kiryu's part in all of this, the fact that he gets cancer, and I mean, I get it, because like he's such a legend in the story. I mean, even the characters know him as the legendary Dragon of Dojima. Everyone in Kamurocho knows him. All the other Yakuza characters know him as this very powerful man, even though he's not Yakuza technically. But a lot of the storyline for revolving around his sickness, I felt like maybe that the reason why they had to do it that way is because there was no other way to like write him off, considering what has Kiryu been through? He's been shot, he's been stabbed, you know, he's been run over, like all these things, like everything has happened to him in the series and nothing has taken him down. So I guess the only thing that could take him down is something that's like unbeatable, like he can't fight himself. Playing off of Gaiden, I wish the writing meshed well, and I know it's mainly because Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth was made first and then they made Gaiden, so like it doesn't line up. So the whole thing with Hanawa really bothered me because I feel like he was a wasted character and it just didn't vibe well, and it makes me think that I kind of wish they did delay the game a little bit just to kind of fix that part, you know, to make more sense, because him and Kiryu ended up having a good relationship at the end of Gaiden, so it kind of felt really weird that it was like that and he just dies, you know, and Kiryu doesn't really give a reaction to it. It's also with Wong To, which is another character which potential, so much potential, and he gets just shot. So that's another thing too. The whole thing with his life links, I really like that. I mean, I did all of it. I did the whole thing and I loved it and I enjoyed it. And I was really happy to have that. I know Akiyama technically was in this game, but he's not directly in it. And it is sad. I know a lot of you were saying this in the comments. You were kind of upset that this is the only way that we get Akiyama in the story, even though it's not really closure, you know, and it's mainly because the voice actor who plays Akiyama is very busy all the time, which is why he wasn't in the last game too, which I get, it's upsetting because I love Akiyama, but I really like that touch of having the Drinklings to have closing out of Kiryu's storyline. I think it was just a little disappointing in terms of Haruka and Haruto, because they were the entire time you're doing it with Date's like teasing, oh, you know, what if you were to see Haruka, what if you were to see your kids, yada yada and all that, and we get to the point where he's about to do it and then doesn't, and that bothered me too, because again, it's like another thing where it's built up, like the same thing with Ichiban and his mother. It was built up and then it amounts to nothing pretty much. Now I'm going to talk about the ending for Kiryu and how I feel about that. Initially, I said I didn't like it. I felt like, what was the point? It's kind of like, what's happening? I'm disappointed. Like, is that all we get? Because it's a shot of Haruka and Haruto going to the hospital, seeing the bed empty and Kiryu's name on the plaque, but then cutting to Kiryu in another room where he's getting treated and he finally says his name. Now, when I really think about it, I think it makes sense for what they were going for. Kiryu has lost pretty much everything the moment he became a Yakuza, and he has said time and time again through the entire series that he knew what he was getting into. Like, once you sign your life away to the Yakuza, that's kind of it. You're branded like that forever. Doesn't matter if you try to change it, if you try to leave or run away like he did, it's always going to follow you. And that's exactly what has happened to him since the beginning. Every single game, he's trying to live a normal life or trying to do something normally, but the Yakuza keep pulling him back in because he's tied to them. It's like, you can't escape it. And a lot of the time, Kiryu has been in denial about himself. And I think that's also granted why they did the whole storyline of the Daijoji, where he pretends to die and gives up his name and goes under an alias and everything. And I've mentioned this so many times, Kiryu doesn't think he deserves anything. He doesn't deserve freedom, he doesn't deserve love, he doesn't deserve his family, he doesn't deserve his name. And he's carried this burden for years. Once he got sick, he finally had an out. It's not a sense that like him giving up, but I think finally he can put himself to rest, because again, he's tried everything. Like I said, tried to run away, tried to ignore it, tried to live a normal life, and nothing has worked. So I think for him, dying is the only option for him, and he thinks he deserves it because, like I mentioned in my Let's Play, he blames himself for everything because, again, he didn't take the fourth chairman role in the Tojo clan to fix the Tojo clan. Instead, he passed it along to Daigo, who had no idea what the hell he was doing, and everything got messed up. So he blames everything that has happened to the Yakuza on him because he feels like he could have done better. But personally, I feel like it doesn't really matter because you don't know what's gonna happen. You can't control that. But knowing Kiryu, he likes to solve everybody else's problems but his own. So I can see it from his point of view why he blames himself. So once we reach the end and Kiryu is like officially dying, I expected this, I guess, fairy tale ending for him where everything is okay. He beats cancer. He gets to see his daughter again and his grandson. And he's surrounded by everybody who loves him, and then that kind of gives him a happy ending, because I feel like he deserves it for everything he has been through in the series, and I feel like a lot of us do. But I don't think that was the point of the ending. I guess the reason why it feels so disappointing is because it's realistic in a sense that not everybody's gonna get a happy ending, and for Kiryu himself, that's not his happy ending. If you really think about it, when you go back to the lifelink, when you're about to go see Haruka at Serena, and Haruka says, I don't want to see Kiryu, and it's not because she didn't want to see him, it's just that she believes that she doesn't need him anymore in terms of standing up for herself, living and going on with herself. And I feel like a lot of us feel like that way with our parents, right? Like, if you have a good relationship with them, you love them, but you don't want them to be hovering around you. You want to stand up for yourself and do things on your own. This hit me a little bit harder, which is why I was crying a lot during those scenes. And it's not just because of Haruka. Like, me, I'm about to be a mom, so I'm about to have my son soon, and the one thing I couldn't help but think was, if I was in Kiryu's shoes, if I were to hear my son say like, oh, I don't really need my mom, you know, to help me when he's older, I feel like that would make me happy and satisfied, because it means that I've raised them well enough to know that, sure, it sucks that they're not going to rely on me, but they're independent in that case where they don't need me to be their own person. They're secure in themselves, which is what I'm hoping I can raise my son to be, just to be independent, because when I was growing up, I never had that chance to be independent. I don't want to get too personal, but growing up, I was very dependent on other people because I was always scared to stand up for myself. And sometimes I'm still like that. It takes me a while to kind of just say things or do things that I know are right for me, but oftentimes I don't, because I feel like I need to impress people or I need to take care of people, which is why I relate to Kiryu so much, because I get that sentiment of him feeling guilty and wanting to like take on everybody's problems but his own. So having Kiryu accept that makes sense now that I think about it in retrospective. Kiryu going to get treatment and not seeing Haruka immediately is okay, because it means he accepts the fact that everything that has happened to him, it's okay. It's okay that this is happening. It's okay that he's not seeing his friends immediately. It's okay that, you know, he's not seeing Haruka or Haruto immediately either. Even though I'm pretty sure it's implying that Haruka and Haruto will go to see Kiryu anyway. But it's okay that everything is not falling into place. It's more of the fact that he essentially finds the will to live again. Because like I said, he thinks he doesn't deserve anything, and why he accepts the cancer. And he's like, oh, I'm just gonna die anyway. I didn't do any good. And him being able to reclaim his name is also something very important too. It's kind of like he gave up his title of Dragon of Dojima to be Kiryu Kazuma again. Will he live? Will he not? We don't know. And I think that's the whole point, that people need to forget about the legendary Dragon of Dojima and remember that he's actually Kiryu Kazuma underneath all of that. That's who he is. And that's who he wants to be. And now that he's weak, he doesn't see it as a bad sign. He just sees it as, finally I can be myself. And I think that's what they were implying, as sad as it is. And I think that's why they left it open-ended, because not everybody has the same vision for Kiryu and his ending. Like, they kind of have like a different point of view of like how they would want to end it. And I said my fairy tale ending. I'm sure everybody has their own different like opinion about it, but that's the whole point, I think, why they had to leave it open-ended. People's reason to live is always going to be different from one another. Like, mine and yours are not going to be the same. So in retrospective, Kiryu's ending is not really disappointing. It's just hopeful. That's what it's supposed to be, I think. And the title being Infinite Wealth, again, you can take this as a sign of like how you interpreted it. This is how I'm interpreting the title. Infinite Wealth. What do you think is important to have in life? Money, you know, love, yourself, self-worth. And I feel like that's infinite wealth to Kiryu, is his self-worth, because he's never been able to find it since the beginning of this game series. And like I said, I understand where he's coming from, because I relate to his character so much, where he doesn't think of himself as a person, and he doesn't feel like he can have that peace, and now he has it. His infinite wealth is just himself. He's finally Kiryu Kazuma. So in a sense, I'm not entirely disappointed in this game. I still enjoyed it very much, and now that I've reflected on the ending, especially for Kiryu, I feel like it makes so much more sense for his character, and I feel like this is a proper goodbye than it was in 6 for him, because everything makes sense up until this point. Like him starting in the Yakuza, leaving the Yakuza, doing the whole thing with Haruka, saving her, becoming 4th chairman, leaving that behind, and then just him trying to run away and it didn't work out. So I feel like that this is the perfect conclusion for him. Of course it sucks that we're not going to see a reunion between him and Haruka, but like I said, I feel like that's the whole point of this, and that's how we're meant to interpret this. So I'm okay with it, and my headcanon is that Kiryu survives. He beats cancer, and he can finally, you know, live in peace, see his daughter, see his grandson grow up, and die like a normal man, like he always wanted to. As for the rest of the game, like I said, there have been continuity problems. For example, how did they out EJ? The whole thing with the Daioji, like they don't know anything what's going on, even though they should know what's going on. I'm hoping for the next game that, again, I still love Ichiban, so I have no problems with him being the protagonist. I feel like it's hard to do dual protagonists when it comes to stories like this, especially when you have a character like Kiryu, who was the main one for the longest time. It's kind of hard to mesh them well together, because a lot of people are going to focus on Kiryu because, again, we all followed him since the beginning. And not that anyone hates Ichiban, because I know a lot of people do like him. It's just hard to focus on Ichiban's story when Kiryu's like right there. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping in the next game they'll give him a proper story. I don't know what else they could do in terms of like story-wise, because I know they're trying to phase out the whole Yakuza thing, because I mean that was implied in the last game that the whole thing was shutting down and everything like that. But I'm hoping for whatever they will put, it will make sense, because a lot of the stuff that I feel like they put for Ichiban was like it was going somewhere and then it doesn't go anywhere. Another example was his relationship with Saiko. I personally was fine with them not being romantically involved. I don't know, because I didn't really get that vibe that him and Saiko were like really flirting with each other in the last game. I just saw them as friends. So I guess that's kind of why I was just kind of like about their relationship in this game, and the way that they ended it, where Ichiban's kind of being an idiot, which I get, it's on brand for his character. He's stupid, but I feel like RGG is not the greatest when it comes to writing romances. I mean, look at Kiryu and like Yumi, and I guess Kaoru as well. They're not good at writing the romances in this series, which is fine, you know, that's okay. They're making like crime drama, so it makes sense. But yeah, I feel like it's unnecessary to have Ichiban be in a romantic relationship with Saiko. So I kind of felt like that was a little bit forced. But like I said, a lot of Ichiban's storyline was going somewhere, and then it just kind of feels like it doesn't really end satisfactorily as Kiryu's did. Like Kiryu, there was like a point to it. With Ichiban, it's kind of more like something we already know. Like, we know Ichiban is a good-hearted person. We know he's gonna take the high road. We know that this is what he has to do. I think for the next game, what I would like to see is have his humanity tested, because he's such a good character. He's always thinking the good in other people. I mean, like, he accepted EJ with no problem, and this guy betrayed us immediately, even though I saw it a mile away coming that he was a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he trusts people too much. He's so kind. He gives people chances and things like that. I feel like to make a good story with Ichiban, his character needs to be tested in a certain way, where he's pushed to darkness instead of the light. Because in the last game, he was pushed to rock bottom, and then we see him rise up from that. And this one, him protecting others, being a hero and protecting others, and I feel like that's the sentiment he's still carrying in this, which it's not bad, like I said, but I just feel like it amounted to like nothing really. So I'm hoping the next game, it's more darker for him, like he's turning to a darker side of himself, and has to deal with that. That's what I would like to see for the next game for him, because I feel like that would be interesting. But again, I don't know how they would play this out if they're trying to keep the Yakuza out of it. Anyway, that is my conclusion for the ending of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a little bit rambly. I just didn't want to write a script because I kind of wanted to like talk off the cuff to say what I'm feeling. And yeah, I would love to discuss it with you guys in the comments, because like I said, I didn't get a chance to like talk to everybody in the comments because I kind of wanted to like sit on it first before I said anything. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe and hit the bell button, because obviously I will do more Yakuza content. I have more coming out later this year, so I hope you will stay tuned for that. And yeah, whenever the next Like a Dragon game comes out, I will definitely be playing it. Nobody has to ask me that because it's one of my favorite games, so I'll play it. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!